back to my channel today. Thank you so much for stopping by. In this video, I'll be making this very beautiful corset top that you can see on your screen. So if you're interested in this kind of video, keep on watching and let's get started. This is an off shoulder top, so the top is not going to have a shoulder, so I'm going to take out 7 inches from my actual measurements. I'll place my tape on my shoulder line, which is the start of this pattern paper. I'm going to remove 6 inches first, and then I'm going to remove the 1 inch later. So I'm taking out 6 inches. I'm going to go down by 7 inches. So just look at the way I'm placing my tape. Okay, I'm marking 7 inches, so I have 1 inch on the upper part of my pattern paper, which is going to serve as a guideline for me to start taking my measurement. Okay, the next thing I will do is to place my tape on the 7 inches mark, and I'm going to mark the distance from my shoulder to my chest line, which is 8 inches. I'll indicate that and I'll rule a straight line across. The next point I'll take is the distance from my shoulder to my bust point, which is 10.5 inches. So still placing my tape on my shoulder line. Okay, I'm going to go down by 10.5 inches. I'll indicate that with a point and I'll go ahead and rule a straight line across. The next point is the distance from my shoulder to my under bust line. So I'm still taking out the 7 inches and I'm going to mark 13 inches, which is my under bust point, and I'll rule a straight line across. The next point I'll take is the distance from my shoulder to my waist point, which is 16 inches. I'll rule a straight line across. And the last point I'll take is my top length, which is going to be 20 inches. I'll indicate that and I'll also go ahead and rule a straight line across. So I have my chest line, my bust point, my under bust point, my waistline, and my top length. So on my chest line, I'm going to go up by half an inch. I'll indicate that with a point. On that half an inch point, I'm going to go inward by another half an inch, just like you see me doing, and then I will indicate that with a point. I'm going to use my ruler to connect these two half an inch points together. I'll also go ahead and straighten that line to meet my chest line like this. On my under bust line, I'm going to go up by 1 inch. I'm going to indicate that with a point, and I'll use my pencil to rule a straight line across this point. I'm using my pencil because I don't want you guys to be confused. I'll be using a ready-made bra cup for this tutorial. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my cup and I'll place my cup like this. So the ready-made bra cup is going to be sitting on this new under bust line. Okay, so I went up by 1 inch on my under bust line because I don't want the under bust, that is the original under bust line, to be dragging the bra cup down by the time I'm done fixing it. I don't know if you guys understand, but I'm going to place my cup and I'll make sure the cup is touching this new line that I just created. Okay, make sure you're not pressing the cup down. Make sure the cup is sitting perfectly well. Okay, I'm going to use my marker to trace out the shape that I have on the cup on my pattern paper, making sure that the bra cup is sitting on this new under bust line. Okay, so after doing that, guys, this is what I have. I'm going to go ahead and extend the other part of the pattern paper, which is the armhole area. I'm going to extend it by half an inch, just like I did for the center front. After doing that, guys, I'm going to add stitching allowance to this bra cup area. So I'm going to mark half an inch all the way around the cup area. After doing that, I'll also go ahead and extend the half an inch on the side front. and then I'm going to rule a straight line across it like this. So the next thing I'm going to do is to start placing my measurements. On my chest line, I'll place my bust circumference divided by 4, and then I'll add 2 inches for my stitching allowance. On my under bust point, I'm going to place my under bust circumference divided by 4. I'll also add 2 inches for stitching allowance. On my waist point, I'll take my waist circumference divided by 4. I'll add 2 inches for stitching allowance. And on my top length, I'm going to take my hip circumference divided by 4, and I'll go ahead and add 2 inches for stitching allowance. After doing that, I'll connect the dots together. After placing my measurements, I'll place my bra cup on the cup area to make sure that I'm on the right track, and then I'll go ahead and cut. After cutting, guys, this is what we have for the front. I'm going to bring in my fresh pattern paper for the back, and then I'm going to mark 1 inch for my zipper allowance, and I'll connect the dots into a straight line. So if you don't want to add the zipper and you want to use loop, it's totally okay. So I'm going to place my front piece on the back piece, the front pattern on the back pattern, and I'm going to hold it down with my tape, and then I'm going to just trace out everything that I have on the front. For the neckline, I'll place my ruler like this, and I'll also connect the sides, so we'll not be adding that to this top. So this is very easy. That is all you need to do for the back. I'll go ahead and cut, and then I'll label my pattern. So I have my center front, my side front, my zipper allowance. For the center back, which is also my neckline, I don't want it to be just straight, so I'm going to go down by 2 inches. I'll mark that, and I'll use my ruler to connect from that 2 inches to meet the other point, and then I'll go ahead and cut. So guys, after cutting, this is our pattern for the front and the pattern for the back. I'm going to go ahead and place the patterns on my fabric, and then I'll cut. So for the front, I went ahead to add 1 inch to the base of the top. The 1 inch is going to serve as my allowance, and then I'll go ahead. Remember, we already have our allowance on the bra cup area, so I don't have to add the allowance while cutting. The only allowance I added is on the base of the top. My fabric is folded into 2, so the center front is on fold. For the back, I also went ahead to fold my fabric into 2. I'll go ahead and trace out, and I also went ahead to extend the base of the back also by 1 inch, just like I did for the front. After cutting out my fabric, I'll also go ahead and fold my hairstay, and I'll place my fabric on it, and I'll cut it the same way that I cut out my fabric. I'll also go ahead and also cut my lining the same way that I cut out my fabric, and I'll iron hairstay to all the fabric. And yeah, stay tuned for the sewing version of this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it was helpful. Please don't forget to like. If you have any question, you can leave it down in the comment section. I'll see you guys in the next one.